everybody, it's Mandy from Mandy Jean Chic. In my I Am That Girl video, I talked about how I left everything in Michigan and moved to New Mexico for love. So I thought I've always wanted to do this, start a series on my channel where I talk about life and really, you know, the real life. I know a lot of YouTubers, and this isn't like a YouTube bash or anything like that. It's just I'm very much a real person. You know, when they do like these morning routines and evening routines, you know, things are left out. When you put yourself on YouTube, you put yourself up, you're open to criticism, and you're opening your life to people. I have no problem with that because, you know, I'm a strong girl. I have been through a lot in my life. I've overcome a lot. I've accomplished a lot, and I thought that I would start a series talking about life. It doesn't have to be, you know, like all negative stuff, because that's not me. You guys know that I'm not a horribly negative person. You know, when negative things happen, I try to find the bright side in things. That's just me. So I want to start this series called, I can't remember. So I want to start this, oh my goodness gracious, gravy train. I never thought I would, but I could. So I wanted to start this series that I'm going to call, I Never Thought I Would, But I Did. Wait, is that what I want to call it? Yeah. Never thought I would, but I did. Apparently, I can't remember the name of the damn thing. See, you hit 31 and like your memory just starts going. But what I want to do in this series, I want to talk about things that, because I connect with a lot of people online and via social media. I get quite a few emails from other women, mainly women, asking me about my life, and because I have a different take on things. And this is something that I want to talk about, so it's going to be a series of videos. So let me start from the very beginning of this and like why I want to do it. In my I Am That Girl book review, I stated that I had left Michigan, which is where I'm from. You can tell by my accent. And all my friends, my family, my life basically, and I moved 1,500 miles to New Mexico for love. Huge risk. But the girl that sent me the email, who is actually a new subscriber, so hey, if you're watching this, she asked me how I got the courage to do that. And I thought that that was a very brave question for someone to ask. Because if you're struggling with something, or you're struggling with any type of insecurity or questioning things, we all do that. I mean, that's part of life. That's part of being an adult, because you're not born knowing how to do life, basically. And every day you struggle to figure this out. I know I do. So I thought I would tell my story about how I actually got to New Mexico. When I was 21? Was I 21? Like 10 years ago. I cannot believe it's been like 10 years. I met Brett, and you guys have met Brett on a couple of my videos. We met on a car club. We both had Mustangs at the time, and I kind of insulted his car, but I saw that he had an APD sticker on his page, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's a cop. And you guys know I love cops. So I started talking to him, not because he was a cop, but that was just like, you know, bonus thing. We hit it off, and he was actually going through a divorce at the time. So I told him one night, I was like, I don't want to be a rebound girl. Yeah, and I don't recommend anyone being a rebound girl. But in my case, it worked for a few years. It worked. It worked. He literally went from his first wife to me, which at the time wasn't that big of a deal. As we were married longer, I could see, you know, how maybe having the independence didn't really, he could have taken that time. But regardless, this isn't a what would I fix about Brett video. So we dated from January 2006 when we started dating. Actually, the first time I ever told him I loved him was over the phone. And then I hung up because I was like, oh, I can't believe I just said that. Then he called me back, so I knew he was a keeper. But, so funny. So Mandy Jean to do that, too. But we started dating and getting to know each other more, which was really cool. You know, when I talk to some of my friends who are dating and going through like trying to be the right person, my biggest advice when it comes to dating is don't lower your standards. Because the right person is out there. You will find them, and it'll be when you're not looking or when you least expect it. They'll just pop up and then they'll fit into your life, and having them in your life won't be hard. Meaning, yes, at the time Brett and I were 1,500 miles apart, but he would wake up 2 hours earlier because he knew I would get up to go to work at 6:30, which was 4:30 his time, and he would call me every single day. Every single morning I would wake up to his voice. Now, we were living far apart, but he still made that effort. I didn't have to ask him to do that. I didn't have to fight for it. He just did it. So there's many other awesome things, you know, when we were dating. He sent me flowers, which was really cool. I'd never been sent flowers before in my life. They were lilies, my favorite. They were lilies and one rose. I'll never forget that. My Instagram is blowing up. So he came down to visit me like the weekend after Valentine's Day in February 2006. We had an amazing weekend together. You know, anyone who's ever been in a long distance relationship, you know how hard it can be. I missed him and I loved him, but it was never like that hard for us because I think we knew we would be together. You know, there were times, you know, I hated going to bed by myself because, like, I wanted to be with him. But this is what happened. We started dating in January. He came to visit me in February. I flew out here in March. He flew out to Michigan the weekend after for a dog show. I quit my job the end of March. And I was going to move down here. So all this happened within, like, 2.5 months. I don't recommend moving that fast unless you know it's going to work or you feel it's right. Because it did work out in my favor, so, you know, I don't have too many complaints on this, but I literally have been taken care of my whole life. I never really had to worry about anything. I never had to really do anything. Yes, I grew up working in a restaurant, my mom's restaurant, my grandparents' restaurant. So, I mean, I grew up working, but, like, I never had to remember to change tires on my car. Or change tires. I never remember to change oil in my car. I never had to remember when I needed new tires. Like, my grandfather took care of everything. I was very sheltered growing up. I never lived in a big city before my whole life. I always lived in a really small town called Sunfield, Michigan, which is about the size of this room. I could walk outside at like midnight and I would be totally fine. Like, I literally grew up in like one of these safest areas. Like, think of like Mayberry. That is Sunfield. So, culture shock when I moved here. I quit my job and I was making damn good money in Michigan, which was like rare at the time, especially for someone so young. I literally quit my job, gave them 3 weeks notice, which I do miss that job because I did like working for Rite Aid as a district manager, like, or district manager's assistant. I loved that. I loved the people that I worked with. It was a fun job. So, you know, I wish, honestly, like, I could have just, like, picked my job up and moved it down here. But I quit my job. I packed everything I could in my Mustang. I literally moved to New Mexico with what could fit in my Mustang, and that was, like, a whole lot of shoes and clothes. And Brett flew up to Michigan. I had a going away party, and I got in my car the next day and moved to Michigan, or moved to New Mexico. Now let me tell you this. Me being young, it didn't really click to me that I was really like moving away until and I'm gonna like start crying when I talk about this. I called my grandfather when we were in Chicago, and he started crying on the phone. Like, that's when shit got real for me. Oh my god, don't cry, because I don't think my mascara is waterproof. See anyone else do this, like when you're gonna cry and you don't want to run your mascara, you're like, such a flattering look. But anyways, that's when it became real to me. It didn't work. When I visited New Mexico in March, I loved it. But let me tell you, I only visited the west side of Albuquerque. I didn't visit the South Valley. I didn't visit I-40. I didn't visit the airport area. I lived for like a week on the west side of Albuquerque. Now, living in a small town, like, I thought that was Albuquerque. Funny story. It's not. I was literally, like, I put all of my faith and my trust into Brett. Like, he was all I had down here. Now, I always knew, like, if something serious were to happen, my family would, like, step in. And, you know, I did have, like, that type of a safety net. But, I mean, you're talking, I just was, like, I booked it and I was out of there. So, I get to New Mexico. We're driving on I-40, and it looks like a hellhole. Pardon my language. I-40's, like, area's cleaned up now, but when I drove through, I was like, holy shit, this looks like Detroit. So, Detroit during, like, the super bad years. We got to the apartment that Brett had rented for us, and, he was home for, like, 3 days with me, I think is what it was, and then he went back to work. For the first day, like, I was there by myself. I was scared to death to, like, leave my apartment. I'm not even kidding you. Like, when I would walk down to the mailbox, like, I had my key in my hand. I was scared to death of, because this is rational, I was scared to death of rattlesnakes. Because that's, out of everything I could fear about New Mexico, it was rattlesnakes. But I didn't work for a month. I didn't really even start looking for a job until around Memorial Day, because, like, I wanted to really get kind of settled into Albuquerque. I didn't get settled into New Mexico and really start liking it for like 3 years. That was a very difficult 3 years. It was a very difficult 3 years of my life, and it was a very rewarding 3 years of my life. I started working at Avenue as an assistant store manager. I liked working for Avenue. I did not care for their district management and one of the store managers. Not my store manager, because DJ was cool as shit, but the other store managers I just didn't jive well with, because, you know, when you're running a store, anybody who's a store manager, you understand this. So, but I wasn't really making all that much money. I think I was making like $9 an hour, which for me, honestly, was not enough. I mean, it was okay at the time for me and Brett because we didn't have all that many bills. Now, there's no way, like, I could survive on that. So, I put in for a position with a financial service office as a receptionist or assistant, I can't remember. Got the job, started working there. I think I was making like $10 an hour, I think. He was a nice guy. Like, I liked him. You know, I got my foot in the door in the industry. But I was scared to death to drive in Albuquerque by myself, because I didn't know, like, anything. And Brett was so sweet. He bought me a map. I was, like, literally, I was scared to death to drive to the post office, which was, like, around the corner from my apartment. I'm not kidding you. When I had to go to the post office one day, I made Brett take me on a test run. Like, I had that, like, severe anxiety about it. I would call, like, my grandparents every single day, multiple times a day. It was, like, it was rough. It was not, it was, okay, it was rough, but it was also very freeing, too. It was definitely, like, thinking back to, like, my first year in Albuquerque was probably, like, one of the best years of Brett and mine's life together, because we were just starting out our life together. Now fast forward, like, years later, you know, you get married and you know, life and stuff like that, you know, you become like the old married couple, I guess. But I mean, I really enjoyed, went to the zoo, I went to Cliffs for the first time. Like, I didn't know we had an amusement park here. No, I'm used to Cedar Point, so when Brett walked me to Cliffs, I was like, okay. We had a lot of fun. Fast forward, because I've been in New Mexico now for 9 years. looking back, I did a little bit of soul searching kind of before I filmed this video. If I would look at my life 9 years ago, 10 years ago even, because I'd be 21, did I ever think I would ever move out of Michigan? No, I never did. I never thought I'd have the courage to like leave my friends and family and move out of Michigan. I don't regret it at all. And I'm very thankful that I did it, because I think like I never would be filming YouTube videos if I was the same girl I was 10 years ago. I never would have done it. I've always been a very independent person and very independent minded, but I had to get out. If you've ever grown up in a small town, I would love if I ever had children to raise my children in a small town, because Sunfield is just, it's where I would love to raise my children. But here's the downside of a small town. Everybody knows everyone else's business. Everyone tries to know your business. And this is the thing that hurts me the most, and why I don't think I could ever move back to Sunfield, or really possibly even that area. Growing up in my grandparents' restaurant and then my mom's restaurant, I basically had a family of 20-25 people that were my family. You know, I had multiple sets of grandparents, aunts and uncles. You know, all the customers were not customers. The customers were your friends. And that is very much a Midwestern and small town thing. You know, some of these people have passed away, and it's not the same. You know, the older generation that I looked up to the most and I respect the most are gone. And that hurts. That hurts so bad, because I could, and this is something that I struggle with, and I'm just being real with you guys, I could have stayed 5 more years and spent time with them, but I didn't. I chose to leave, and I really felt bad for a long time for living my life. So here's the moral of the video. Don't feel bad for living your life. Did I ever think that I would leave Michigan for New Mexico? Hell no. Did I ever think I would ever live in New Mexico? No. I took 4 years of Spanish because all my friends were in the class. Mrs. Raisler, if she watches this, like, she would know I was not the best student at all when it came to Spanish. I could have cared less. Mrs. Raisler, if you're watching this, thank you for not giving up on me, because let me tell you, Spanish has come in handy since I've been in New Mexico. Thank you for at least teaching me the basics, because obviously you knew something about my life that I did not. Because literally in my senior yearbook, I told everybody that I was going to move to Alaska because I love the snow. Living in New Mexico for 9 years, I get cold when it's 70. I'm so glad I did not move to Alaska, because I don't think I would have made it. But, humor aside, if you want to do something, you do it. And if that's what your heart tells you to do, follow that. Now, if your gut is saying, maybe this isn't a good idea, maybe, you know, weigh your pros and cons here. But I never thought I would ever left my family. I never thought I would move away. I miss my grandparents a lot. I miss my grandfather a lot. I've always been grandpa's girl. Like, that was my grandpa's my world. I showed dogs when I was in Michigan, so I would be at dog shows every other weekend with my grandma. I haven't been to a dog show in like 5 years, which anybody who knows me knows you would never have expected that. And that stuff is sad to me. You know, my family that have been passing away, family/customers that have been passing away, you know, Linda Sanborn was very special to me. She was like a second grandma. When she passed away, like, that was hard. Because my last conversation with her that I had, we were talking about Guiding Light, because Guiding Light was going off the air. I'll always remember that. You know, it's just difficult, you know, to know that these people are passing away. On the flip side, I know that if I would have stayed in that small town, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. I would not, in my opinion, I don't know how I would be successful in a small town. I really, truly do not. Because I have this ambition to become an entrepreneur. And I don't see that happening for me in a small town like that. Or at least in a dying small town. Because Sunfield is dying. There's no Main Street anymore. It's gone. Maybe in like a bigger small town. It's like such a cliche. Maybe I could see that. But I'm thankful that I left. I never thought I could do it. If you're struggling with the same thing and you're feeling like you're being held back because of where you are in your life physically, you can change that. You can move. If you are a teenager right now and you're watching this video and the only thing you want to do is go to school in a big city, work for it. Get there. Go. It's scary as hell. It is so scary. But you also will learn a lot about yourself. All in all, like looking back on my 9 years in New Mexico, I've missed my family a lot. I wish, I could see them more, but I am very happy that I moved here and that I built my life and I've become the person I've become. It's really important to me that I do what's best for me. And like I said, I do regret not spending those last few years with my friends and family that have passed away. But I also know that those people would have been furious with me if I would have stayed there and been unhappy. So you have to weigh what's best for you. And you cannot look at it with a selfish attitude. Because if you look at it with a selfish attitude, you'll never do what you want to do. Anything you want to do in your life, someone's going to call you selfish for. I've been called a very selfish person, but I will, oopsie daisy, I would give someone the shirt off my back if they needed it and I could help them. I try to be a very caring person because it's important to me to give back. It's so hard to say no and to say enough's enough because someone is going to call you selfish for it. And when someone calls you selfish for something that you've done, honestly, the best thing to do is to walk away and do what you want to do and be successful at it, because they will see that it was the best thing for you and they will come around. I struggle with this with some members of my family who don't understand how I could have left, and you have to do what's best for you. Like my cousin's doing what's best for her, and she lives basically in the same town that she grew up in, just like over. But that works for her. That's her thing. That's, she loves being close to her mom, and she has a little girl now. She loves being close to my grandparents. That's for her. But that's not for me. I don't know if I would ever really move back to that area. If I ever move back to Michigan, you bet your butt I am moving to the beach, because that is the one thing I miss about Michigan. Well, two things. I miss hockey and I miss the Great Lakes. Like, I miss the Great Lakes. I miss the Great Lakes. So again, small brief recap. Don't feel guilty about being selfish, because if you're doing what's best for you, that's what you need to do. You need to look out for yourself. If you're in a situation where you want to change your life, change your life. Because if you feel that you need to change your life, you need to change your life. If you are unhappy, figure out what makes you happy. Think about what makes you happy. Filming YouTube videos in my blog makes me so happy that when I do things for it, it doesn't feel like a job. I have friends who are always asking me, what are you doing? Filming a video or editing a video or editing pictures. And they're like, well, all you do is work. I don't really think of this as work, honestly. It's what I love to do and I enjoy doing it. Find what you want to do. If what you want to do takes you across the country, pack your shit and go. I mean, don't be held back and have regrets. Having regrets in life isn't what you're supposed to do. You need to do what's best for you, and you need to, that was a weird flash on my camera. You need to do what's best for you, and you need to be empowered to live your life. So hopefully my video, one, you get to know me a little bit more and my story about how I made it to New Mexico. Love the New Mexico sun, love the New Mexico weather, love the mountains, miss the rain. Rain can come back now. But I hope my video empowers you to do what you want to do. And don't feel bad about being self. So this is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to write me a comment below, or type a comment below, and tell me what is one thing that you guys did for yourself today. I want you to tell me something that you did for yourself that is selfish. Did you paint your nails instead of walking your dog? Did you snuggle with your dog instead of helping your mom with her dishes? You know, what did you do for you today? I want to know what you did for you, because that is important to me. You are important to me, and you being happy is important to me. What did I do today that's selfish? Actually, I didn't really have all that much to do today, so I was supposed to call my friend back earlier, but I was actually filming a lookbook, so I actually need to call her back later on. But I needed to finish this lookbook, so I had to take that time for me. Jen, if you're watching this, you know I love you. But that was something selfish that I did for me today, and I had to get it done. So it is what it is. So don't ever feel self-conscious about being a little selfish, because sometimes you just have to take some time for yourself. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!